Hello, my name is Ian Grant. I'm the Assistant State Director and the Juneau Regional Director for the Alaska Small Business Development Center. The Alaska Small Business Development Center is funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the U.S. Small Business Administration. This presentation today is made possible by generous support from Wells Fargo Bank and 360 North. Thank you for your interest in Exit Your Business, which is part 5 in a 5-part series of workshops, which have been developed by the Alaska Small Business Development Center, which cover the 5 life cycle stages of your business. Stage 1 is Think, which is before you're entering into business. Stage 2 is Launch, which is about 2 to 3 years while in business. The third stage is Grow, which is when you're looking at increasing sales or capacity. Stage 4 is Reinvent, when we're talking about making changes to the business. And stage 5 is the Exit, when we're talking about transitioning out. So again, today we'll be covering the exit stage of the business. Thank you. I thought I'd start with providing a brief overview of what we'll cover today in Exit Your Business. We'll be talking about planning your exit strategy options, fixing your business, naming your price, actually selling the business, and then the professional advisors you might want to seek to have support you. You'll notice at the bottom of the screen we've placed a couple of icons which will help lead you to the website for further information about some of the topics that we discussed today. So the first question when planning to exit your business is, have you revisited that business plan, and do you have an exit strategy in place? There's a number of options when exiting a business. Often owners might look at closing the business, selling the business, succession planning, or certain life events can occur that cause you to leave the business unexpectedly. In all cases, to be best prepared, the SBDC always recommends that you revisit your business plan and continue looking at those exit strategy options. This can be a lengthy process that involves various financial, legal, and operational obligations. So creating a well thought out plan to help you exit the business and prepare for the circumstances when you may not expect to leave the business is the best option. So there's many exit strategy options for a business, but the most common that we see at the Alaska Small Business Development Center are hiring a manager, closing the business, and selling the business. So if an owner is looking at hiring a manager, the one thing that we recommend for everyone is making sure that you have an operational agreement in place, and this is something that you might want to seek the advice of an attorney to work on. In this case, a business owner may be looking at pulling away from the business and getting away from some of the day-to-day operations, but they're not ready to fully exit the business. So revisiting that business plan, looking at your financial situation, what kind of staff you can hire to come on and help you exit the business and slowly transition out is a great step. Closing the business is another option. Closing involves, can fall under circumstances where you may not want to be leaving the business, but if the business is failing and it's time to sell, you may have to look at selling off your business assets and paying business debts. And in this circumstance, again, revisiting that business plan and planning that strategy is still the best option. With all the legal obligations and financial obligations that can go into closing a business, it's best to sit down with a financial advisor, with your SBDC counselor, and plan this exit strategy option. Now, selling your business is the most common circumstance that we see in the SBDC. So I wanted to go ahead and take a look at some examples of this on the next stage and what we should have ready. So what you'll need when you're selling the business most commonly is you want to have your financial statements in order. We'll need at least 3 years of tax returns, so we can take a look at the financials, the bank can take a look, and we can develop the trends that are existing within the business. This is going to be important for not only a prospective buyer going into the business, but also for you providing this information for evaluators to help determine a price for the business. What you'll also need is current leases, any outstanding loans or contracts that you may have with vendors, equipment lists with all values, the inventory lists, and any personnel records. A potential buyer may be coming into the business and looking at purchasing, and they may have their own take on what they'll do with the business next, and their ideas may not encompass the current personnel that you have. So we like to look at those personnel records, see if their current ideas are working with the staff that you have on hand. So if you have all of these together, you'll be prepared for either sitting down with an attorney and drafting up buy-sell agreements, sitting down with an evaluator and determining a price for the business, or sitting down with a buyer and discussing the staff and the needs that they might have in the future. So we've identified that coming up with a plan for your exit strategy is the most important first step. Once we do that, in selling a business, then the next step for that business owner is getting the books in order and what we call fixing it. A tool that we have here at the SBDC to help you do that is Profit Sense. And what we'll do with each potential a client who's looking at selling the business is asking them to bring in those financial records that we just mentioned in the last slide, the income statements, balance sheets, and tax returns from the last 3 years. And we can use Profit Sense to then import that information and take a look at how your business is performing today and what those levels of efficiencies are. If there are downfalls in the business, we want to fix those now before showing this to a potential buyer, therefore increasing hopefully the price that we're going to get for that business. So the best time to sell the business is always when we're in the prime operating shape. Sitting down with the SBDC advisor will help you take a look at your financials, how you might be able to improve the business, and if that improvement is going to take some time, we can then establish a timeline for you on when would be the ideal time to move out of the business. So the big question that business owners always have is determining what is my business worth. Determining the value and its implications is a process that can be confusing, time-consuming, and can end up being quite expensive. There are a number of variation techniques, and none will give you the correct answer. They'll give you starting points, negotiating points, but none of them are correct. We always recommend then that you have the professional evaluators in place to help you do this. There are certain rules of thumbs may apply, ratios may be considered, but in all, these are again just starting points to discuss selling prices with a potential buyer. So we always recommend bringing the correct people on board, whether it's an accountant, an investment banker, a business evaluator. And now we don't have the tool that can help you determine that exact price, but if you do visit the website, there is a tool titled "What is my business worth?" where you can start looking at some of these different approaches to valuing a business and start using your own balance sheets and income statements to perform some of these evaluations to at least get an idea on where to start in naming a price. So the next question, besides what is a business worth, is always, is there just one formula that will help me do that? The EBITDA is one valuation formula that some evaluators will use. You can look at seller's discretionary earnings, which you'll find on the web as represented at SDE. There's multiples of sales and rules of thumb. Now, none of these are correct. They all just provide a range of prices that the business may be worth when looking at different approaches. So the SBDC can provide you with these formulas and sit down and show you how to use them, but we're not going to tell you that one is correct. There can be a range of values. When it comes time to actually sell the business, if you've worked for your financials and you've looked at some of these valuation formulas and maybe sat down with the evaluator and determined a fair market value price for the business, then the next steps are looking at what type of documents do you have in place, what kind of contracts do you need. Working with clients, we always advise in seeking help with an accountant for a lawyer in looking at buy-sell agreements, creating non-disclosure agreements, letters of intent, and then considering your time management through this process. An attorney can help you with the buy-sell agreement, which will then cover the interests of both parties, both the buyer and the seller, and most commonly associated with that buy-sell agreement is going to be a non-disclosure. Because when you do start entering into the buy-sell agreements with potential buyers, you're trading confidential financial information about your business, the tax returns, balance sheets, income statements, these inventory lists, the equipment lists, and this is all information that you as a seller you would like to keep private. So it's important that when you do start talking about selling the business, before you start trading any financial information with a potential buyer, you sit with an attorney, work out the buy-sell agreements, the non-disclosure agreements, so your privacy can be protected. Then it's common to also work with that attorney in drawing up letters of intent, which a buyer will come to you and present this letter with all the expectations of the buyer and the seller in place. Then, all this being said, this obviously takes a lot of time. You're going to be meeting with a lot of people between your attorneys, your CPAs, the business evaluators. So I think one of the best pieces of advice that we can offer to a person selling their business is make sure that you've thought about your time management, and then you bring on a solid team to help you do this, because you are not going to be able to do all of this on your own. You've worked very hard in getting your business to the point where you could sell it, and now you need to be able to continue managing that business at the successful rate that it is while you're going through this process, because often it takes time. Often the process of building a financial projection and a business plan by a buyer and them going to the bank and seeing if there's a possibility for financing, that portion of the process may not take as much time, but it's the business evaluations, drawing up the contracts, the letters of intent. There's a lot of time that goes into this that you as a business owner can't dedicate to when you need to be focusing on your business. So just make sure that you're supporting yourself with the proper people around you to assist you in this. So surrounding yourself with those proper people has to do with the professional advisors of who to consult and why, and what are some of the questions that we can be talking to them about. We recommend a lawyer, a tax advisor, a business evaluator, possibly an investment banker, a business broker, and a financial or business planning consultant. Obviously, the lawyer is going to be helping you with those agreements that we just spoke about, but then there's other things to consider when exiting the business, and that's something that you may want to be working with a financial and business advisor on in looking at what are the tax implications of selling my business, what are these legal concerns that I need to be protected from. So some examples I just mentioned, and here are some reasons why you might be using them. We have an attorney who will provide you with legal and regulatory issues, making sure that you're in compliance, those buy-sell agreements, letters of intent, confidentiality agreements. A CPA is incredibly valuable in helping you with a partial business evaluation and those tax implications of selling the business. A broker can be brought on hand to assist you with some of the paperwork in selling the business and possibly marketing your business for sale. But some key considerations to think about when looking at a broker is they're not absolutely needed, but it's an addition. It's an additional team member that could help you sell the business. So we recommend, when speaking to brokers, asking them about their track record. What is the success rate? A key consideration is what are some testimonials of the clients that they've helped. A testimonial will tell you a lot about the success and the ease that other people had in working with the business broker. And the last person, we've spoke about this a couple of times now, is that business evaluator. Often loans above the $250,000 range are going to bring in the need for a bank to have a professional evaluator come in and take a look at the business and look at those financials that we talked about you having ready prior. Those financials, gathering those from your accountant or from the bookkeeper and turning them over to the evaluator, that can be a lengthy process that we want to take care of early in the business sale. Often an evaluator could take anywhere up to 2 to 3 weeks to come back to you with a business evaluation. So in conclusion today, I hope that you've taken away from this presentation that the most important part in exiting your business is one, making sure that you have a plan. And in that plan, we've looked at all the exit strategy options for your business, fixing that business, coming up with a price, and then who are the people that we need on board to help us sell it. Again, thank you very much for the generous support from 360 North and Wells Fargo Bank. And if you need any further information, please feel free to contact the Alaska Small Business Development Center in your area or visit us on the web at aksbdc.org.